My name's Andrew Wilson. I work for the Supply Chain Sustainability School. I'm joined by my colleague Stefania, who is going to be leading most of the training this afternoon. And obviously this is about the sustainability tool. So thanks again for joining us. Hope it's going to be useful. I'm just going to give a little bit of context and a short introduction on the RDP program itself and how the sustainability tool sits within that. And then I'll pass across to Steph, who will go through the detail of the tool. She'll be covering the structure of the tool and the profiles and the roles of individuals within the tool and how you report using the tool, very importantly, and navigate around, and the support that's available as well during the process. But by way of introduction, first of all, in terms of where this has all come from and what other aspects there are of what we call the RDP, the Regional Delivery Partnership. Obviously, Highways England is working very closely with many of its delivery integration partners to offer training, support and knowledge support and sustainability support across a variety of areas. The main prime contractors that Highways England are working with to provide this support through the Supply Chain Sustainability School are Walker Fitzpatrick, Graham, Galliford Try, Costain, Balfour Beatty, Skanska, Kia, BAM, NMCM and Vinci. So we've got 11 of the 13 prime contractors who are delivering these systems across the Regional Delivery Partnership, and all of them have come together to fund this programme of support. There is training being offered on sustainability through the Supply Chain Schools platform. A world of learning is available through that platform. There's a self-assessment process and action plan to guide both your own individual and your company's corporate learning through our website. There's also a variety of training workshops and supplier days being offered. We're doing 11 workshops during the course of this calendar year, for example, and many other extended supplier days on particular core issues of the training, such as carbon, that we're looking at in terms of knowledge sharing and upskilling. The third key part of the RDP is the sustainability tool, which brings us on to this afternoon's session. The sustainability tool is all about measuring and managing sustainability performance. So before I hand across to Steph, just a couple of points to go through indicated on the screen there. We'll be trying to handle as many questions as we can as part of the session. So if there's any burning issues that you would like to ask as Stefania is leading the training, then please use the chat function and I'll be in the background sort of beavering away trying to answer as many of them as possible as we go through. Alternatively, towards the end of the session as well, we'll try and leave some time available for a Q&A session to mop up any outstanding issues. We are recording the session, so just to let you know that this session is being recorded, that we'll hopefully be hosting online as well for those suppliers who haven't been able to make this particular hour, or the other sessions that we're running this week, where we've got two other similar sessions happening on Wednesday and Friday this week that you might have seen advertised. Yeah, the slide deck as well, sorry, as you see on the screen there, that we'll be sharing the slides as well, and we'll be creating a PDF of the slides. So although you might need to make some notes as we go through the session, please don't feel that you've got to cover absolutely everything that you see on the screen, because we'll be sending out a copy of the slides to everybody who's on the call. So if you keep your microphones on mute, unless there's something drastic that you need to raise, by all means, please do if there's something that isn't clear, or again, as I said, use the chat function as we go through, and we'll try and respond as quickly as we can to any questions that come from yourselves. So this is a really important session. We hope that you'll get involved in using the sustainability tool on a quarterly basis, reporting your data through this software platform that we've developed and that we can all share and benefit from as part of the RDP, the Regional Delivery Partnership, that we're all working together on under the leadership, if you like, of Highways England. So without further ado, I'm going to pass across to Steph, and she'll take us through the learning and training over the next hour. And Steph, if there's any support you need, then I'll be in the background and I can hop back onto the call and cover off any issues that you need me to. So over to you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that introduction. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session. My name is Stefania. I am a consultant at Action Sustainability, where I support the delivery of the sustainability tool across several clients. I also work very closely with the RDP program, implementing the sustainability tool and supporting Andrew with the planning and delivery of all the training workshops and supplier days that are part of this initiative as well. Today's session has been designed for supplier organizations that are members of the RDP program. The idea is that today you learn everything you need to know about the sustainability tool from the perspective of the supplier. Things like, what is the sustainability tool? How does it work? And why we're using it for this particular project. We have divided the training into 3 main sections. The first one will cover the role of the reporter, who is the person responsible for submitting sustainability data through the sustainability tool. Then we have the role of an approver, who is the user in charge of sense checking that the data that has been submitted is all right. And at the end, we're going to have a live demo of the tool for you to see how the tool looks like in real life and for you to see how the account is structured as well. So in terms of the learning outcomes, if you are a reporter, today you're going to learn how to get registered in the tool, how to report data via the tool, and how to modify data that has been submitted in case you need to do that at some point. If you are an approver, you will learn how to review data that has been submitted and how to approve and reject reports via the tool. Let's start from the very beginning, which is explaining what the sustainability tool is. Put it in very simple terms, the sustainability tool is an online platform that has been designed to manage supply chains and sustainability data. This means that through the tool, you can measure your performance in several areas, from waste and biodiversity to employment and social value, for instance. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the tool uses a simplified traffic light system that will help you understand or measure your performance in several sustainability areas. Green means that you're performing well and you are achieving your targets, whereas amber and red highlight areas for improvement. I'm going to come back to what the colors mean later on. But for now, we could say that green means positive performance, and amber and red means that you can still improve your performance in those areas. How does the tool work? As you can see here, it uses a hierarchical structure that is composed of 3 main levels. Here at the very bottom, we have what we call the reporting package, and this level is where suppliers like yourselves are going to input data that cover a variety of topics like waste and employment, for instance. What is important to know here is that all the data that has been submitted at the reporting package level will feed into the upper level, which is the project level. What the tool does here is calculating several indicators based on the information that you have provided at the reporting package level. Similarly, all the data that we have here at the project level will then feed into the upper level, which is the corporate dashboard, and which will show you the overall performance of the RDP project. This is how the RDP account is structured within the tool. Here at the very top, we have the corporate dashboards, which will evaluate the overall sustainability performance of the whole project. Then underneath the corporate dashboards, we can see that the project has been divided into 5 main regions, which are the Midlands, Southwest, Southeast, North, and East. And then below each region, we're going to have all the different DIPs that are working in that specific region. Just as an example, we have the Midlands here, and within the Midlands, we have Skanska and BAM working here. Below each DIP, we have all the different schemes that they will be delivering, and below each scheme, we're going to have all the suppliers that contribute to the delivery of that scheme. As you can see here at the very bottom, we have the reporting package level, which, as I said, is where suppliers input information. Each supplier will have its corresponding reporting package to submit its sustainability data. Now, please remember that reporting is done per scheme. What the tool does after all suppliers have submitted data is to aggregate the performance of all suppliers in order to show the overall performance of the scheme. And then similarly, the tool will automatically aggregate the performance of all the different schemes to provide the overall performance of the region, and then at the very end, the whole performance of the RDP program. We know that there are certain suppliers that will be working for more than one scheme. And as I said, reporting will be done per scheme. So that means that you're going to have a reporting package to submit information about scheme 1 and another reporting package to submit information about scheme 2. This is quite a simple process that I'm going to show you during the live demo. Now, moving away from the technicalities of the tool, I also wanted to share with you some of the process we had to go through in order to implement the sustainability tool for the RDP program. This implementation process has taken several months, as we needed to understand what sustainability areas were material for the RDP project, what we should be measuring and capturing through the tool, and how often we should be doing it. So what we did was gathering feedback from both DIPs and supplier organizations, and this is how we arrived to the first version of the tool, which we're calling the launch version. Reporting for the sustainability tool will be done on a quarterly basis, and these quarters are aligned to the calendar year. This means that right now we are in Q1 2021, which corresponds to January, February, and March. And the reporting deadline for this very first period will be the 15th of April. The second important aspect to mention is that the tool will be constantly evolving. Therefore, your feedback is going to be super relevant to make sure that we are capturing relevant data through the tool. At the end of the year, we will hold a performance review of the tool and of the quality of data that has been gathered. And this will help us inform how many metrics we should be adding or how many metrics we should be removing, what areas seem to be more problematic when it comes to reporting, and what targets we could add to the sustainability tool. In the future, the main goal will be to have full reporting across the RDP, obviously engage more suppliers through the tool, and improve the overall performance across all schemes and regions as well. Finally, and before I move on to the actual training, I wanted to focus on why we're using the sustainability tool for this particular project. Well, the first reason is that we needed a tool to manage sustainability data from DIPs, but also from supplier organizations. As I have mentioned before, the sustainability tool allows you to manage data across your whole supply chain. We also needed a tool that covers both the environmental and social aspects of the program. And as you will see later on, the tool also helps you or allows you to create your own set of metrics and indicators that adapt to the specifications of this particular project. And finally, we needed this whole process to be easier, not only in terms of reporting and collecting data, but also in terms of understanding what data actually means. The traffic light system used by this tool is a very simple solution to understand where your hotspots are and where you should be focusing on. If you follow the red tiles, for instance, you will quickly identify which areas need to be improved and where you should be focusing your efforts on. I hope this gives you a better understanding of what the sustainability tool is and why we're using it for the RDP program. I'm now going to move to the next section of this webinar, which has to do with how to use the tool and all the different profiles and roles that we have within the tool. So just for you to know, within the tool, we have different profiles. We have 4, which are the reporter, approver, admin, and viewer. But the 2 profiles or roles that are relevant to supplier organizations are the ones you can see on the screen, the reporter and the approver. So we're going to start with the reporter, who is the person responsible for submitting data into the tool and also responsible for modifying data that has been submitted in case there has been a mistake. The first step for reporters, and actually for everyone who has access to the tool, is to register and get set up. If you are the designated person to have access to the tool on behalf of your organization, you will receive an automatic email from the tool inviting you to register. This email contains a link. Please follow this link to get set up. And this will take you to the registration page where you can create your own username and password. This link is valid only once, and it will expire after 7 days. If this happens to you, please get in touch with Andrew and myself so that we can send you another invite. After you create your own username and password, you will be able to log in. And once you log in, the first step that you need to do is to accept the invites to all the different schemes and regions that are attributed to you. To do this, please go to the project invites section. Simply click on the icon and select accept. Just for you to know, every time you're added to a different scheme or to a different region, you will receive an email. But this doesn't mean that you need to register every time. You will need to register only once, and after that, you will simply need to accept the invite to all the different projects you have been added to. But what do you have to report against? Just to let you know, the overall regional delivery partnership measures performance against 9 sustainability issues, which are the ones you can see on the screen: carbon, biodiversity, environmental management, waste, water, air quality, employment, procurement, and community. However, supplier organizations are only required to provide information against 5 of the sustainability issues, which are environmental management, waste, water, air quality, and employment. The information about the other sustainability issues will be reported by the DIPs, so you don't have to worry about that when it comes to reporting through the tool. Now, if you are a reporter, this is how the tool is going to look like for you. The tool will display a list of metrics that are organized in different sections, depending on what area we're referring to. This is just an example. We have air quality as the first section, and you can see that below air quality, we have a number of metrics that belong to that specific category. Now, what is a metric? A metric is basically the information that we are asking you to provide. I'm going to show you this in detail when I do the live demo, but I also wanted to share with you a few of the features that you should be aware of when it comes to navigating the tool. One of those features is the information icon that you're going to find next to each metric. This information icon is going to provide you with a full definition of that metric in case you're not sure about what that metric means. Please refer to that if you require more details about any of these metrics. The second feature that you should be aware of is the toggle icon that you will find in front of certain metrics. This means that this field is required. Therefore, you need to fill it out, or you won't be able to submit your reports, essentially. There is a final button which is called Select File. you're not going to find it in front of every single metric. It's just designed for a very few ones, And what you need to do here is to upload evidence document about a particular metric. So just as an example, one of the metrics within the environmental management category is asking you whether your organization is compliant with any environmental standard or certification. If so, it's asking you to please attach an evidence document. You can do that by clicking on the button Select File. The format of the file could be a PDF, PowerPoint, or an Excel file, and there shouldn't be issues with the size of the file either. Sorry. Next to the description of all the metrics, you're going to find the next column, which corresponds to the units. The units will vary depending on the metric we're speaking about. So just as an example, if we're talking about waste, recycled waste, the unit is going to be in tons. But if we're speaking about water consumption, the unit is going to be cubic meters. So please be aware of the unit before you input any information against a metric. Next to the unit, you will be able to input the numerical information for each particular metric. But if you would like to add a comment or provide an explanation for a metric, you could do that in the column next to it, which is designed for you to provide comments. The second thing you need to be aware of is that certain metrics have been defined as non-core metrics. Non-core metrics are optional metrics. Please fill them out only if your company has easy access to this information or if your company is contractually required to provide this data. Most of the non-core metrics are employment metrics, and actually the employment section, as you will see later on, is the longest one, but not all of the fields are required fields, so to say. Some of the most common questions that I get from reporters is, will I receive a notification when the report is due, or how do I know when a report is due? Well, first of all, reporting will be done on a quarterly basis, and the reporting deadline will always be 2 weeks after that report has finished, that period has finished. As an example, the reporting deadline for Q1 will be the 15th of April, and this is to give you enough time to collect the information you need to provide through the tool. Now, 7 days before the report is due, the tool is going to send an automatic notification to your email, letting you know that a report will be coming soon. The second question that I get from reporters is, can I modify data that has been submitted already? And the answer to that is yes, you can, but you first need the approver to reject the report so that you can make those amendments. And the final question is, what happens if I miss the deadline? If you miss the deadline, do not panic. You can still go to the tool and submit your data after the deadline has passed. However, you will be receiving daily notifications from the system to remind you that a report is overdue. Having said that, and having explained that what you need to do is to input numerical data against all the metrics that apply to you, once you finish, what you need to do is to submit your report, which you do by clicking on Submit for Approval. That is basically the end of the reporting process for the reporter. What is going to happen now is that the tool will send an automatic notification to the approver, who is the person responsible for sense checking that the data that was submitted is okay. Who is going to be the approver? It could be someone else in your organization, or it could be the same reporter. This means that we can have one person doing both roles within the tool, and that's totally fine. The purpose of having an approver is just to give you a second opportunity to review that the data that you submitted is okay. This is how the tool looks like for approvers. The tool will display the list of all the reports that have been submitted so far by reporters. You will be able to see the reports and also the status of that report. A report can have one of three status. The first one is pending approval, which means that the report has been submitted and requires approval. The second one is approved, and this means that the report has been already approved by the approver. And the final status is requires revision. This means that a report has been rejected and requires amendment by the reporter. So what you're going to do is to identify the report that you would like to review and either approve or reject. And then you're going to go to the icon here and click on View. Once you do that, you will have access to the exact same digital form that the reporter filled out. You will be able to see all the information that has been provided. If you're okay with it, please click on Approve. But if you think that there is a mistake with this data, please click on Reject. Either way, you will need to provide a comment. If you're approving the report, for instance, you can just type approved. It doesn't need to be something too elaborated. But I suggest that if you're rejecting a report, you actually add an explanation of why you're rejecting the report and what specific metric needs to be amended. Otherwise, it will be really hard for the reporter to know what needs to be changed. The final thing I would say about this is that the tool keeps a record of every single action that is taken against a report. Therefore, you will be able to see who reported or who was the reporter that submitted the information, when it was reported, and at what time, for instance. You will also have a record of when it was approved, by whom, and what comments were added to that specific report. This is just to help you manage and keep track of everything that is going on with your reports. That is basically how the tool works. As I said, you will have a reporter submitting data via the tool, and then you will have an approver either reviewing and accepting or rejecting that data. After the approver has approved that information, the tool will calculate several indicators and measure your performance against several areas, which you will be able to see on the tool dashboards. This is how the dashboards look like on the tool. You're going to see that again in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to explain first all the different functionalities. So the first section of the dashboard corresponds to all the sustainability issues or areas that we are measuring. In this case, we are measuring 5 sustainability areas, and each one of those areas is going to have a specific icon. And the color will dictate how well or how poorly you're performing against that particular area. If you click on one of these 5 areas, in the section below, you will see the list of indicators that correspond to that area. An indicator is basically telling you the progress against that area. So if I click on waste, for instance, one of the indicators that I'm going to get is the percentage of waste that has been recycled, or the percentage of waste that has been beneficially reused, just as an example. Then if you click in one of the indicators, you will be able to see graphs and tables that contain all the information about that particular indicator. Just remember that the graphs will show you cumulative data, whereas the tables will show you cumulative data and data per period if you choose the right settings. I will show you that in a moment. Moving on, I also wanted to give you some tips for navigating dashboards. The first tip that I have for you is to understand the color. It's quite simple, but it will make your life much, much easier. Green means that you are performing well and you are achieving your targets. Amber means that your threshold has been achieved, but not your target. Therefore, this is an area for improvement. Remember that amber means area for improvement. And then red means that your target and threshold have not been achieved. Therefore, this is an area where you need to take some action. There is one more color that you should be aware of, and this is gray. Gray means that no target has been set against a particular area or a particular indicator. This is going to be the case for the RDP program at this point, as we haven't set up any targets against these areas. So if your dashboards remain gray, please don't panic. This is okay. There's no issues with your data and there's no issues with the tool. It simply means that no targets have been set. The second tip that I have for you is to follow the color. If you're looking for good news stories, please follow the green tiles. As I said before, this means that you're performing well and you're hitting your targets. But if you're actually looking for areas for improvement and areas where you can take some action, please follow the red and amber tiles. The final tip that I have for you is to understand the performance breakdown. When you see the tables below the graphs on your dashboards, it will be important to understand that cells with numbers are going to be showing you data that has been reported against that particular indicator. Cells with color are going to show you the performance of that indicator. And cells that are either gray or empty mean that not enough data has been reported for that particular indicator. Finally, and before I move on to the live demo, I just wanted to let you know all the resources that you will have available in case you need support. The first one is an online user guide that is embedded into the sustainability tool. You will find a link at the bottom of every single page when you log into the tool called user guide. Please click on it and that will take you to the online user guidance that is divided per section. So if you are an approver, you can click on approver and see all the instructions that apply to you. And similarly, if you are a reporter, please click on the reporter section and you will get all the instructions that you need in there. The second resource that you will have available is a PDF user guide that I will circulate closer to the reporting deadline. This is similar to the online user guide. It will just contain a few more details about the RDP program in general. And finally, if you're experiencing any issues to get set up or you have any questions about the tool, please feel free to contact me. You can see my email on the screen right now. So that being said, I think we can move on to the tool demo. Please bear with me a second. Could you please let me know when you can see my screen and if you are looking at the sustainability tool now?
Yeah, we can see it, Steph.
Okay, great.
You can see that, okay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so this is the actual account of the Highways England RDP program. This is the structure that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. We said that the RDP program is divided into 5 main regions, which are the Midlands, Southwest, Southeast, East, and North. This uses a hierarchical structure, so within each region, when you click on each region, you will see all the dips working in that particular region. Just as an example, I'm going to click on Southwest, and we have in here Galliford Try, Vinci Construction, Costain. If I click on Southeast, we have Graham, Balfour Beatty, Bam Nuttall. Same thing if I click on East, and if I click on North, we will be able to see all the different dips, and within the dips, all the different schemes the dips are working on. Now, let's take one section as an example. I'm in the Midlands. I'm going to click on Skanska, and Skanska is going to be working on the M42 Junction 6 scheme. Below each scheme, you will have all the different projects that correspond to all the suppliers working in the delivery of that particular scheme. Is there any questions up to this point before I move on?
Steph,
Yeah.
it's Andrew, obviously just commenting on that and expanding on what you've said. Obviously that information's been given to us, hasn't it, by the DIPs themselves. So the lists of suppliers for each particular scheme have been provided by the DIPs. So we've also got individuals within those suppliers, again, that's been sent across to us by the DIPs, and those individuals, I guess, are our starting point in terms of the contacts who will receive the registration invitation in due course.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that clarification. Is there any other questions before I show you how to submit data through the tool? Okay, I think we don't have questions for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to going to another account, which is a demo account. I cannot show you how to submit data on the actual RDP account, because this is the actual account, and if I submit data, I want to be able to delete it. This is how the tool is going to look like for a supplier organization. Here at the very top, you're going to have the different menus, and on the left-hand side, you're going to have all the different schemes and regions where you are delivering your works. In this example, we are working on the M42 Junction 6. This is obviously a demo. And then below this scheme, we have one of their suppliers. Again, this is dummy data. This is just an example. The name of this supplier is Cat Service Group Limited. And when you click on it, you will see another line that has the name of the supplier with the word reporting. Now, this is important because some of you will be working for more than one scheme. So this is how you recognize where you should be inputting your data. Remember that each reporting package will have the name of your company and the name of the scheme you are working for, so that there is no confusion. When you click on it, you will see the line for the reporting package, which will have the name of your company and the word reporting. So that's how you know that here is where you will input your information. So you will click on the reporting package label. You go to the reporting package menu, and you click on report due if you are a reporter. This is what I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. The tool will display the list of metrics that are organized depending on the sustainability area they belong to. You can see here that the first sustainability area is air quality. The second one is environmental management. Then we have employees, which, as I said before, is the longest area to fill out. And within employees, we have a whole section that are non-core metrics. Remember that non-core metrics are optional metrics. Fill them out only if you have easy access to this information or if you are contractually required to provide this information. We know that these vary from supplier to supplier. The last two sections for reporting are waste and water, that, as you can see, are quite short. How do you know that you are reporting for the correct scheme or that you're reporting for the correct period? Again, here at the very top, you will have the name of your company, Cat Service Group Limited in this case, and the name of the scheme. So that's how you know that you are reporting for the correct scheme. And how do you know that you're reporting the correct period? That is something that you need to see here. So for the first reporting period, for you, it will say from January to March. In this case, mine says from July to September because I have been playing around with the tool submitting reports for this demo, basically. Again, we have all the different metrics and the information icon that explains or provides a more detailed description of that metric. So let's just take an example here. Within the environmental management section, we have the metric number 2 that reads number of major environmental incidents in this period. If I click on the information icon, the description reads a number of incidents with major, serious, persistent, and/or extensive impact or effect on the environment, people, and/or property in this period. Remember that you're providing information for a particular period for a particular scheme. Then we have the toggle icon to point out that these metrics are required fields. And we have the select file button for those metrics where you're required to attach an evidence document. There is only one metric that requires you to attach evidence, and this has to do with environmental standards or certifications. The metric is asking you whether your organization is compliant with any environmental standard or certification like ISO 2400, etc. If so, please attach the evidence document. You can do that by clicking on select file. You select the file that you would like to upload and click on open. Okay, the process is quite simple. Next to the metrics, we have the units that will depend on the area that we're talking about. And then next to it, we have the column where you can input your numerical data. Let's just take environmental management as an example. The first metric says number of environmental incidents in this period. Let's say that in Q1 there were 3 environmental incidents. And the second one is asking you number of major environmental incidents in this period. So out of these 3 incidents, let's say that 1 was major. So you add number, you type 1 in here. Remember that next to each metric, you can submit a comment or an explanation. Let's say something like this has been reported. Okay, so you do have the opportunity to add additional data besides the numerical data that you will be providing. Remember that required fields, as the word entails, need to be filled out. If this metric is required but it doesn't apply to you, you can click on this icon that says no reports, or you can either type 0 if that is a number that applies to that specific metric. So as you can see, the reporting process is quite simple. You need to go through these metrics, and then input the specific number that corresponds to them. Once you finish this process, simply click on submit for approval. So at the moment, I'm not going to click on submit because I haven't filled out all the required metrics that I'm supposed to do. But that is going to happen. You simply click on submit for approval and you type a comment. Again, nothing to elaborate it. It could be something like Q1 data. That is the end of the reporting process for a reporter. Remember that after you do that, the approver will receive a notification, an automatic notification from the tool to your email, letting him or her know that a reporter has submitted information, and this information now needs to be reviewed and either accepted or rejected. Now, if you are an approver, the process is quite similar. You will be able to see your reporting package that will have the name of the company and the name of the scheme. You go to the reporting package level, which is the line that has the word reporting. Again, you go to the reporting package menu, but instead of selecting report due, as the reporter did, you're going to select report submitted. And this is going to give you a detailed list of all the reports that have been submitted so far. What you need to do is identify the one that you like to review. You click on this icon and then click on view. This will display the exact same digital form that was filled out by the reporter with all the data that was submitted. This will allow you to review this information. If you are okay with it, please click on approve. But if you think that something needs to be amended, please click on reject. At the moment, this report that I submitted here is already approved, therefore it's not letting me approve it again. But when it's a report that says pending approval, you will have an option to say approve or reject. That is the end of the reporting and approving process. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. And now what I would like to do is to show you the dashboards and how they are how they're divided. Just give me a second, please. Okay, so this is how the dashboards are divided. The first section belongs to the sustainability issues. Remember, we're measuring 5 sustainability issues through the tool at this point, which are employees, air quality, environmental management, water and waste. These dashboards remain gray, and this means that no target has been set so far for these particular areas. And then below that, you can see a status of the reporting package. So by looking at this, I know that the report for Q1 has been already sent and approved, and the report for Q2 has also been sent and approved. So this is an easier way for you to see where you are at in terms of reporting for a particular scheme. You can then select any of these issues. Let's say we go to waste. And once you click on it, you see below all the indicators that measure progress against that particular area. In this case, we have the percentage of waste recycled, the percentage of waste sent to landfills, and the percentage of waste beneficially reused. So let's say I click on percentage of waste recycled. I can see that in Q1, 25% of my waste was recycled. Again, this is dummy data. And at the end of Q2, I already had 63% of my waste being recycled. If we go down, we will see the breakout of this information through tables. This information can show you either cumulative data or the data that has been reported for each specific period. So in this case, as it says here, the reported metric values are cumulative. So you are seeing information from the beginning of the project up to that date and time. But if you would like to see the information that has been reported only for that particular period, you click on this button and click on the option that says show monthly periods. That will show you the data that was reported for Q1. So as an example, I can see that for Q1, I reported that I generated 8 tons of waste. Out of that amount, 2 tons were recycled, and that's how the tool calculated that 25% of my total waste was recycled waste. Okay, this is the information that you can see displayed here on this table and on the graph as well. This is how the tool works. It's a pretty simple process. The more you play around with it, the faster you will get used to submitting and navigating information through the tool. I think we have 10 more minutes before the webinar finishes. I'm happy to take any questions that may have arisen from the webinar. So please do let us know.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah, I've just turned my camera back on there. We're just handling a few questions as you were talking there. Can you see the chat? I don't know if you want to add anything, but hopefully I've answered everything as you would have done. We've had a few questions regarding the potential link to PPN 0620 public. Procurement policy note, isn't it? PPN, procurement policy note. I'm getting my acronyms sort of sorted out in my head here. Procurement policy note, 0620 is all about social value, isn't it?
Yep.
So a question was from Mary regarding the link indirect or direct to social value through the tool. And there is, I guess, at the moment an indirect link because a lot of the sustainability measures that suppliers will be reporting on, and DIPs for that matter, could be used as evidence to quantify social value. But the tool is obviously retrospective, isn't it? It's reporting on sustainability data from a particular scheme to look at the overall picture of performance across that scheme. So as far as we're concerned at the moment, this tool isn't being used at all in any sort of contractual way or related to any procurement going forwards. We should be very clear on that. What it is doing is it's giving Highways England and the DIPs and suppliers and ourselves, for that matter, an overall picture of how schemes can be benchmarked and how performance on a framework, a large infrastructure framework such as this, can be benchmarked as well in terms of sustainability performance. So that's all interesting and part of the mix. I want to cover as well a question that Mark was asking regarding the DIPs. Obviously, again, acronym DIP equals Delivery Integration Partner.
Yeah, sorry, there are so many acronyms.
Yeah, no, I'm guilty of that, as guilty as anybody else. So yes, that's the principal contractor, essentially.
Yeah, your client.
Yeah, most of the people on this call will be familiar with many of them as major customers of theirs. So yeah, we're asking the DIPs as well, importantly, aren't we, these principal contractors, to use the tool as much as they can to report on their own sustainability data, their own direct operations as part of scheme delivery. So we're putting together the supplier data together with the DIP data to form an aggregate picture of sustainability across the issues that we've looked at through using the tool.
Yeah, that's correct. The reporting process for DIPs is quite similar. The only difference is that they actually report on more metrics in comparison to suppliers. They report against the 9 sustainability issues.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so they are reporting on carbon as well, aren't they, and biodiversity and community and procurement on behalf of the entire supply chain. Carbon, just for people's interest, is quite a tricky one. We understand that a lot of suppliers are used to using the Highways England carbon calculator. So as suppliers are using that tool and information is inputted and contributes to the overall measure of carbon, which is ultimately reported by the DIP, we thought it would be best for the DIPs themselves to be in control of inputting data on behalf of the entire scheme. Understanding the fact that many suppliers have already contributed supply chain data to that end figure, so we didn't want to double count. So we've stripped the suppliers away from reporting on carbon for the time being through this particular tool to ensure that no double counting takes place, and that the DIP recognises carbon on behalf of their own direct operations, but also all of the embodied supply chain carbon that suppliers are reporting on through that carbon calculator.
Yeah, that's correct.
Another important thing for me to say, I'm bouncing around a little bit here, another important thing though in all of this is that the DIPs aren't approvers of supplier data, are they? When we're talking about an approver, we're talking about an individual within the supplier company who is approving the data that is supplied by that particular organisation. So we haven't set it up in such a way for DIPs to approve or otherwise information that's being provided by the supplier stroke subcontractor.
Yes, a reporter and an approver will be people within your own organization, within the supplier organization. As I said, you can have someone reporting data and someone else approving this data, or it could be the same person reporting and approving data. Yeah,
and could you just cover off the fact that there are different versions of the tool, aren't we? Because the school, the Supply Chain Sustainability School, has used the tool with other partners for other construction projects or other, completely separate supply chains, for example. So if a supplier is on the call and already is familiar with using the tool for a completely separate, discrete purpose, a separate project, when they log in, correct me if I'm wrong, when they log into the tool, they'll be able to see different versions of the tool that they are required to report on.
Yeah, so when they log into the tool, for instance, some of the suppliers might be part of the climate action group as well, that is run by the tool. It's going to be the same tool, but on the left-hand side of the menu, you will have different accounts. So there's not going to be any confusion when you need to submit data for RDP schemes. Remember that it will have, the project will have the name of your company and the name of the scheme we're asking you to report information against. So you just have to click on it. And below that, you will have the reporting package, which is where you input your information. Look for the word reporting.
Yeah, I think you've highlighted another important point there, isn't it, that it's scheme by scheme, this particular tool. So it's very important that suppliers understand that they'll be working on maybe many different schemes across the RDP. There's many large organizations who are, substantial partners to this process, supplying kit or materials or services to many of those DIPs, those prime contractors, across many different schemes. So they will, I guess, unfortunately, have to repeat the process according to those schemes that they are involved with. But there's no other way of us doing it, is there? Because the nature of the tool, how we've set it up, is that it's reporting on a scheme level. So we need that data at that project level.
Exactly. And that is also because Highways England would like to see the performance of schemes so that they can later compare schemes against schemes. Mm-hmm. And that means that suppliers need to report data per scheme.
Yeah, hopefully this, I know we're kind of dominating the discussion in many ways. I hope I'm not taking airtime away from anyone who wishes to ask a question. It's just kind of important points that are coming into my head. The timing of the email, the registration link or invitation, when would you think we'll be sending those out, just for people's understanding?
At the moment, we haven't added the users just yet to the sustainability tool. We will be adding them, I would say, in the next couple of weeks. Just bear with us because there are actually quite a lot of supplier organizations and we need to input this information per scheme. So it's quite a lot of work. But if you are the person designated to have access to the tool on behalf of your company, you will receive an automatic email from the tool inviting you to register.
Yeah, that should be kind of maybe middle of March, maybe third week in March.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're already into March, of course, aren't we? So we'll use, as I said earlier on the call, we'll use the information supplied by the DIPs at the moment as a first point of contact and send those registration links to those individuals. And if it needs to be somebody else, then that can be organised with us, can't it? That person can get back to us and say, look, a different colleague is going to be a reporter or approver using the tool on behalf of our organisation. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining. I think we have a question.
List of metrics. Did you share the list of metrics?
I'm going to be sharing the. Let me just show you. I'm going to be sharing the slide deck that I showed today, and then slides from 25 to 28 will contain the list of metrics that we are asking you to provide information for. This is for you to have a reference even before you get access to the tool.
Yes. Yep. Thanks. So we will. I know we're almost out of time here. I'll be quite quick because I know people will have put the hour in their diary and they'll have other things to go to. Yes, so we'll provide that metric information. Key thing there is that not all of the metrics will be absolutely required. There's kind of core metrics and non-core, isn't there? And we've starred the ones that we see as compulsory, if you like, to try and provide information on. And there's another question coming in here about the waiting for a invitation to submit data.
Yes, you need to wait for the invitation for you to register. Yeah, you cannot register on your own right now.
Yeah, okay, that's important. Yeah, so bear with us. We've got another couple of sessions, middle of this week and end of this week. Hopefully next week, if not the week after, then we'll be sending out those emails or all important emails for people to log in, set up their accounts and begin reporting data in advance of the first quarter deadline, which was it the 15th of
The
April?
15th of April, yes.
Yeah. Obviously, there'll be probably a little bit of leeway around that as we get the tool up and running. And we hope to be working as much as possible with all of you. Steph and myself will be supporting this process. So it's all about communication. It's all about telling us any issues that you're having. But we're all in this together. And again, in partnership and collaboratively, we can make this work with as much information as possible. The more information we get from you guys, the better for everybody concerned. And we can start to make a real difference to the sustainability performance of the schemes that are being delivered through the RDP. Okay, we're 2 minutes over, so I'm going to end it there if that's okay. You've got my details and Stefania's details as well, so please send us an email or give us a ring should you need, and tell other colleagues or other contacts in the industry to join the sessions we've got later this week. You can book via the Supply Chain School website. Obviously, everything's completely free of charge. We look forward to having other suppliers join us at those sessions, and we'll be in touch. Thanks again, and have a good remainder of the day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.